Greetings, you flesh-mad steeds. I hope you're doing well. My name is Graham, and welcome to the Crack-A-Pack here on LRRMTG. Please subscribe to our channel. Today, we are opening a pack of Theros. That's it, Theros. Original Theros from the far-off year of 2013. And this was given to us, I assume, or maybe one of us bought it. There's no name on it, but we have it now, so we must have got it from somewhere. I don't think the drawer just generates packs of Theros, though that would be cool. If anyone knows if that technology exists, let me know. For now, let's look at some cards. Prescient Chimera. Ooh, I'm feeling prescient today. 3 blue for a 3/4 Chimera with flying. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, scry 1. Doesn't it feel like 10 years ago that a 3/4 flyer for 5 in blue was like, oh, this is a solid body? Because I feel like that's below rate now. Which feels odd, but yeah, no, Prescient Chimera was good. I like Prescient Chimera. Starting out all right. It's a common, but hey, you know, starting out well. Fleet Feather Sandals is next. It's 2 mana for an equipment. The equipped creature has flying and haste, and you equip for 2. More than once, I've died to Fleet Feather Sandals, and my opponent goes, "What's up? It's a Cyclops. I'm putting feet on it." Feet on it? Sandals on it. Putting sandals on the Cyclops' feet. My Cyclops didn't have feet before, but I found some feet, and I attached them, and then I put sandals on those feet. Now it's flying at your face. And yeah, I don't... Great save, Graham. Good job. Hey, speaking of being prescient, it's the Ill-Tempered Cyclops. 3 and a red for a 3/3 Cyclops with trample, and Monstrosity 3 for 5 and a red. What's Monstrosity? Great question. Reminder text says, if this creature isn't monstrous, put 3 +1/+1 counters on it, and it becomes monstrous. So this was interesting, because it was not tied to the counters, like Adapt would be in one of the Ravnica sets later. You could put the counters on it, and then if the counters were removed for any reason, the creature was still monstrous. It was that for the rest of the game. Well, unless it got blinked or sent to the graveyard. That game object was remaining monstrous, so you couldn't do it again. It was an interesting one, but it did mean that if you put other counters on it from other places and then made it monstrous, then you could add even more. So it's different in a way that I find interesting. Thank you for listening to me talk. I hope you enjoy it, because otherwise I don't know why you're here. Guardians of Meletis is a 3 mana artifact creature golem. It's a 0/6 with defender, and sometimes you really just needed to block. Sometimes they got their favorite hoplite down on turn 1, and by turn 3 you're like, please just let this 0/6 save me for a couple turns. And, little known fact, according to historians, the 2 figures featured here on Guardians of Meletis were roommates. Shredding Wings is next. It's 2 and a green for an instant. It deals 7 damage to target creature with flying. I like that sometimes this card just destroys a creature, and in other sets they're like, no. If you can get a creature with flying and 8 toughness, you get to keep it. You've earned that 8 toughness flyer. Yeah, Shredding Wind. That Pegasus, by the way, is in a lot of trouble. Wouldn't want to be him. Boon of Erebos is next. It's a single black mana for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Regenerate it, and you lose 2 life. It's fascinating to see the evolution of this kind of effect. First of all, they don't print cards with Regenerate anymore. Obviously, if you want a reminder of what Regenerate is and why they don't print Regenerate anymore. Regenerate puts like a bubble onto the card. You say, I regenerate this creature, and nothing happens. And then, if the creature would die because of being destroyed or combat damage, then instead it gets tapped and removed from combat. And that particular Regenerate bubble goes away. But you could regenerate it a second time if you had to. Like, once it's tapped and removed from combat, then they could kill it again? Like, then they could use, like, burn or something on it? Regenerate didn't help you if you had no toughness, though. It doesn't help against exile. It was just kind of confusing. It was needlessly weird in a way that was not helpful, so they don't print cards with Regenerate anymore. Actually, at time of recording, very recently, March of the Machine came out onto Arena, and with it, in the Multiverse Legends, Skithiryx, the Blight Dragon, the first card on Arena with Regenerate. Look forward to seeing how that interaction plays out. But anyway, and now, this also, Boon of Erebos, costs you 2 life. Now, it'll maybe cost 1 more mana, but now the creature gets lifelink and, you know, dies and comes back, so you get ETB triggers again. Like, Boon of Erebos looking pretty bad in the 10 years since this set came out. Blood Toll Harpy. Gotta pay the blood toll. It's 2 and a black for a 2/1 Harpy with flying. When it enters the battlefield, each player loses 1 life. So it's fair. I like cards that, in outside chance, could tie a game. Both players at 1, Blood Toll Harpy, draw. It's neat. Oh, Benthic Giant. Sorry. Benthic Giant. 2. Where did I get 2 from? 2 thick giant. The mana cost is 5 and a blue for a 4/5 giant with hexproof. It's weird to say that this card was just not that great in this set. You'd think, you know, 4/5 hexproof. Sure, but some creatures got bigger. And sure, you know, hexproof, but it can only block for so long, and then you make your things monstrous and attack through it. Yeah. Anyway, Voyaging Satyr, 1 and a green for a 1/2 Satyr Druid, and you tap it to untap target land. It's kind of like tapping for mana, in a way that's, in some cases, worse, and in other cases, much better. Thanks for coming to my talk. Spearpoint Oread is next. 2 and a red for a 2/2 Nymph with Bestow. More on that in a moment. And First Strike, and the enchanted creature gets +2/+2 in First Strike. So, back to Bestow, I guess. If you cast this card for its Bestow cost, it's an Aura spell with Enchant Creature. It becomes a creature again if it's not attached to a creature. So you cast these Bestow creatures as auras. They enter the battlefield on a creature as a creature enchantment, and they give, generally speaking, it was different for many Bestow creatures, but this particular cycle of nymphs, a common cycle of the nymphs, 1 in each color, basically just gave their power and toughness and ability as the Bestow things. So it was very easy to understand. Like this is 2/2 with First Strike. The enchanted creature gets 2/2 in First Strike. The best part about this, though, is that they worked how you want, air quotes, for if you're casting this to enchant a creature and they remove the creature in response, then this thing just goes, oh, I guess there's no creature, plunk, and just falls to the graveyard as itself, as a creature, rather than getting fizzled and going away. So, yeah. This one, by the way, was pretty good. The blue one gave flying. I think that was inarguably the best one. But this, First Strike, also not bad. We're into the uncommons now, and it's going to be an ordeal. Of Perforos, in this case. 1 and a red for a creature enchantment. Did I mention enchantments were a thing in this set? Enchantments are very important in Theros. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then, if it has 3 or more +1/+1 counters on it, sacrifice Ordeal of Perforos. When you sacrifice Ordeal of Perforos, it deals 3 damage to target creature or player. So yeah, the ordeals were cool. They all basically did this thing. They're 1 in a color, and you put them on a creature, and whenever the creature attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. And then when it gets to 3, you sacrifice it. And then when you sacrifice it, something happens, and it's different depending on them. And yeah, this one was pretty good. Also relevant, I mentioned Heroic. That was a thing that cared about the creature did a thing when it got targeted by a spell, and that includes auras, which is why the Bestow. This is a very good set. This set was fun to play. Dauntless Onslaught. 2 and a white for an instant. Up to 2 target creatures each get +2/+2 until end of turn. So you're targeting 2 different creatures. Possibly you can get 2 heroic triggers. That was the main thing. Honestly, this card was like only okay, but it was very good if you could target 2 creatures with heroic and get extra bonus value. But was not actually like shockingly powerful. Flame Speaker Adept is our last uncommon. It's 2 and a red for a 2/3 human shaman. And whenever you scry, Flame Speaker Adept gets +2/+0 and First Strike until end of turn. This was the first set where they brought scry back before they just made scry a thing that happens all the time. And this card is honestly like, Because, like, you're going to scry incidentally, and that's nice, but it wasn't necessarily a thing to build your whole deck around. But, I mean, I guess worst case, it's 2 3 for 3, which is not the end of the world. We have a ad card about all things magic all in one place, magicthegathering.com. We've got a swamp, and our rare is the Artisan of Forms. 1 and a blue for a 1/1 human wizard with heroic. Hey, whenever you cast a spell that targets Artisan of Forms, you may have Artisan of Forms become a copy of target creature and gain this ability. So yours or theirs, it doesn't matter. You can target it with something, then turn it into a different creature, but it still has that ability, so you can keep changing it to different creatures every time you target it. Pretty cool. Not like astonishing, but pretty cool. Unfortunately, the value of this pack is also not astonishing. It's about $1, but that's okay. I don't actually know what you're supposed to take here because it has been so long since I drafted Theros. I don't actually think it's Artisan of Forms because it's really bad. You or the opponent has to have a creature that you want to copy, and you have to target this. It's only actually okay. So I think it's either Ordeal of Perforos, because the Ordeals were just strong cards because you wanted enchantments and the Ordeals were cheap and made creatures more powerful. Or maybe Voyaging Satyr because you want to get the mana ramp going, but it's probably the Ordeal. And this has not been an ordeal. I've actually enjoyed it. So I hope you have too if you're still watching 12 minutes later. Hey, thanks everybody for joining me today on Crack a Pack. Until next time, I've been Graham, joined by James, Matt edits these, and Heather gets them online. And we thank you so much for watching. If you want to send us a pack, don't know who this was, but thank you. Sorry that it wasn't written down, but you can send us a pack with your name on it to the address you see on your screen, but you don't have to. And of course, this show and everything we do is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. Thank you always for watching. See you next time.